shall observe you're glad to be alive. Spring helps you survive when it's long, miserable snow and rain. It gives you hope to know spring will get a refrain. Believe the day is coming. The world's thinking about how good it'll be, and that goes double for me, double for me. Spring is my joy. La 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 wee, da 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 wee. La da 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 wee. Spring is my joy.
Yay.
Yay.
Spring is our joy. Oh my goodness, look at who's in the room. Hello. I love this. Okay, let me start off by welcoming, first of all, Alexis Cole, of course, introducing her. You can introduce yourself, but I'm just going to summarize you for a moment as a multi-talented jazz vocalist, educator, entrepreneur, founder of Jazz Voice and the Vocal Jazz Summit, and much more that you can go into. And I want to welcome everybody who tuned in here on Zoom, and I don't know who's on Facebook, but that's great. We came here together because today is International Jazz Day. It's a slightly opportunistic opportunity to grab. I chose this day to release a tune of mine that Alexis recorded with my Dutch band, and we'll get into that a little bit more as well. But first of all, I would like to ask how you came, where you come from. Alexis, I think everybody knows you as this wonderful jazz singer, but how you came to this point through the many twists and turns in your life, from your musical family to singing in different continents, etc., and creating Jazz Voice and the Jazz Summit. One disclaimer, I've never done this kind of hosting, but as Alexis teaches us, failure is critically important in singing and in everything and in life. So you are inspiring to many singers and to many people also with your life philosophy. And you inspired me to do this thing that I thought up in my head on one day when I saw, International Jazz Day. And then after that, I thought, oh no, that's a terrible idea. But you already said, oh, it's great. So here we are. So tell me a recap of your story in jazz up until around COVID, because then I'll...
Sure, but before I do that, Louise, I just want to say congratulations on this release. I'm excited to be releasing it. It's such a beautiful song. Paul and I listened to it this morning, having our coffee, and it's just, I'm so proud that it's out there on Spotify and everywhere for people to hear. It's gorgeous. You're an amazing writer, and I'm so honored that you asked me to record it. So thank you, and thank you for having this release event. This is really fun. It's great to see everybody here. Hey, guys.
Thank you.
Yes. So I guess, since we don't have all day, the brief version is I was kind of born in, entertaining. I always loved, my mom picked me up from the nursery school on the first day, and I was tap dancing and singing for all the kids on a tree stump. So basically nothing has changed, and I'm still a goofball trying to entertain people. And I love it. And I think of myself as an entertainer first, and then also as a musician and as a singer. So, I went to school for music. I went to high school in Miami. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. I went to the New World School of the Arts High School and studied musical theater. Then I went to University of Miami for 2 years and studied jazz voice and classical singing there. And then I transferred to William Patterson University in New Jersey and finished my bachelor's there. I worked in the city, in New York City, for about 5 years, really slogging away, trying to make a living, a very difficult time. And then I got my master's degree in 2006, and I got my first teaching job in Ecuador at the University of San Francisco in Quito, in Cumbaya, actually. And then after that, I got my first job as a piano singer in a lounge in Tokyo, which I did on and off for 2.5 years, really got my piano chops together. And right after that, on the heels of that, I joined the Army and the Army band, the West Point Band, in 2009. And
we just heard them, right?
That was, yes, that was the Army Band. Yeah. And that was written by our wonderful music director, Scott Archangel, that arrangement of Clifford Brown's Joy Spring, lyrics by Jezra Kay. And I stayed with them for 6.5 years. And the final year that I was there, I got my job teaching at SUNY Purchase. And then I taught and performed in the Westchester area, which is where I lived during my West Point time. And then that gets us to COVID. So
Yeah, that's because well, that's a journey in a few minutes. That's amazing. No, but I was very captivated. I listened to interviews by Monica Herzog and some on the Neon interviews that you did, and there was one by Patty of Wayne Public Library series.
yeah,
Yeah, it was all
that.
very illuminating. And also to learn that Sky Blossom, the title of your album, is a parachute. That and that's your metaphor. You can tell it yourself. I love
Yeah,
that
it's
metaphor.
a military metaphor for help is on the way. When troops are on the ground and they see the parachutes in the air, they say, "Oh, look at the sky blossom," and they know that help is on the way. So that's why we decided to name that album that. It's
Yeah,
called
it's
Sky Blossom
nice.
Songs from My Tour of Duty, because those were
Right.
all arrangements written for me by Scott Archangel, the music director of the West Point Band, and actually
Yeah.
made that album to catalog those arrangements because they were so gorgeous, and they were written just for me, and I thought these need to be recorded somewhere. So, like most of, I don't know, I've heard other people that I appreciate talk about this, but it's nice to do things for yourself, but it's much more motivating to do them for other people. So that was my motivation for that
Absolutely.
album, for making that
Yeah.
album, was
I know
was to
that's
get
really
Scott's
because
arrangements
then
out
you want
there.
to kind of rise to the occasion, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And Sky, also, I understood it as a metaphor for jumping into the unknown with faith, right? I think
Mm,
you said that in one of the interviews. And I also
sounds
really
like
like
me.
that idea. And the other thing I liked about that cover is that I discovered that the cover photo that we used for someone that came out today is from the same photo shoot because you have that veil. And I love
Yeah,
that photo and it's great. And somehow then it's connected and I love it. So
great.
that's yeah. So then came COVID, and the reason I use that as a point is because I kind of started knowing you and some of the people, well, the most of the people on here actually got me into that jam because I first saw and heard you on Jocelyn's jam during COVID, right? And I was so happy to find that because actually, I think it was Sue and Debbie who told me about that jam that it existed, and of course we were all home, and I joined that jam, and I was really nervous about it, with how to set it up and sing online, but then. As we dropped into that community, it was like a warm bath for everyone, and that was so beautiful. And that's, I mean, that feeling of a warm bath in this singing community hasn't stopped. And I think actually someone was the first song I sang in the jam. So
Amazing.
yeah. And I also told Jocelyn, so Jocelyn Medina, I want you to talk about it a little bit, but I told her that this was going to happen. But she's recording today her Brazilian album, so that's very exciting, but she's going to listen later. But I told her that Someone was the first song and that it came out today. Anyway, so can you tell a little bit of the history of, because for you also that was like kind of a catalyst, right? The jam and that brought you to create Jazz Voice, or maybe that was already, well, you know better, so you can tell it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it wasn't associated with the jam, but we later partnered up, and of course you know, what happened is that during COVID, I had to teach online, all my students from SUNY Purchase, and I noticed, including Samara Joy, who had a terrible internet connection at her home, unfortunately. But I noticed I'd never been interested in teaching online, but there we were. We had to do it. We had no choice. And I noticed it was pretty great for teaching singing. You're right here in the camera. I can see people's faces even closer than in a voice lesson in person. I'm not playing the piano, so my attention was purely focused on them. So the things that, and I noticed that the students who were doing well kept doing well, and the ones who struggled kept struggling. So I didn't really notice a big difference. And it seemed pretty great. And then I got this idea that, boy, all these singers were, not working at the time. And I thought how great it would be if you could book a lesson with them, right? While they were not on tour. And I thought, oh man, somebody should do that, like make some kind of lesson tool online so the singers could be working and the people who were home could be studying. And I thought, wow, that's such a great idea. Who could I tell that to? Who could I tell that to? And I said, damn it, it's me, isn't it? And
Yeah,
so then I
that's
spent
great.
basically,
So someone
yeah,
needed to do it.
someone. And then at the same time, there was an innovation grant given by my high school, New World School of the Arts in Miami, for people who were making that pivot, doing something interesting during COVID. And I thought, wow, I want to try and win this grant. It was $1,500, and I at the time when I wasn't working that much, and it really would have made a big difference. And I really tried. It was great to have that as a deadline. And so the grant was due, and I wanted to get the website up before the grant was due. It was like May 15th or and I also worked with a group called Austining Innovates. That was my neighborhood entrepreneurship incubator. I say all these things to show how important these small,
Right.
like,
No, the ripples, the little,
interventions
yeah,
are.
little seeds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I
And
spotlight you, by the way? Should I? I didn't even think of
um,
that.
oh, sure, that's a good idea for the recording. Yeah, and
I
you can
thought
spotlight the two of us.
so.
Yeah,
I go
I
to the
could do it
little.
if you want.
Oh, you can do it.
I'll,
Yeah, you're the.
I'll do it.
Okay, pro. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Also, whenever you touch your microphone, it's kind of loud. I just want to let
Oh,
you know.
I
Yeah.
will not touch it again.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, then so I was up day and night for 2 months. I was at my cabin in Pennsylvania near where Ted lives. And yeah, I just had nobody around to stop me from working at 4 in the morning or whenever I was
Right.
awake. And I've literally never poured myself into something like I did. It was, just I was obsessed. And it was like 2 months, and then the website launched, jazzvoice.com. It was jazzvoice.org at first because org was
No.
much
Yeah.
cheaper. And then yeah, it was up. I know so many people from all my decades in working with singers, and I used to be the vice president of the Vocal Jazz Coalition in New York, so I knew a bajillion singers, and I just reached out to everybody, and voila, like within a month, Jazz Voice was up and running, and we had all kinds of great teachers because everyone was home for COVID. And it was really, we had everybody doing private lessons, but also that Austining Innovates group helped me come up with the idea of the membership, which is now the cornerstone of our organization. Many of the people on here are members already. And so the idea is like, private lessons are more of an investment. And so for this just $45 a month, you can come to all the classes, you can watch all the old videos and be part of this incredible community that you guys have helped me create. So that's the start of Jazz Voice. And then at the same time, so Louise mentioned the jam, but actually what was quite instrumental, and I think subconsciously in my starting Jazz Voice, was that they had already asked me to be the artistic director of the Virginia Beach Vocal Jazz Summit. And I think I maybe had that in the back of my mind when I was starting Jazz Voice, but I really can't say. It wasn't a conscious thought. But
Because
then it
that
worked.
was in 2018, right? That you already had that
19.
seed of the Jazz Summit.
Well, it
Uh,
was the theater's project, and they called me in to participate with them.
Yeah, that was
So
going to
they,
be my next question after the
yeah,
Jazz Voice platform. I just wanted to say that my experience with it was also that it offered so many opportunities to hear great singers and to learn from, yeah, like names that you're like, whoa, I can actually look look at this face. And I remember, yeah, I just want to mention this because it's so fun. I don't know who's gonna hear it, but for instance, I did a class with Kate, and she gave me a warm up exercise, and I recorded it, and it's such a great warm up exercise that at some point Sue and I were talking about vocal warm ups, and I sent her the 20-minute vocal warm up exercise, and we use this like all the time to go through all the things, and now because we know it by heart, we only have to say little things like talk up here and now you sing, and it's these little tricks, and we crack up whenever we do that. But anyway, it's all because of Jazz Voice,
oh,
and
that's so great.
I got really inspired with a lot of things, and I took like Mark Winkler's songwriting class, and one of the songs that's on my new album, came from that. And anyway, I just wanted to interject this evidence for how jazz voice is great, and then go on to the vocal jazz. So tell us, because I was at the first summit, which was virtual, and I remember I was in my kitchen and everyone was just at home. And I remember Darman Meter was there and John Prue and some guy about streaming tips, or he was setting up some platform. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, Dan
Dan Tepfer.
Epfer, right?
Yeah. And then, of course, a lot of great singers.
Yeah, Surreal was
So,
there, and Samara,
yeah,
and yeah, and Catherine Russell did a big concert in that first one.
so
So cool.
how did that come about again? Because the Ziders and stuff, because that's a cool
Sure. So
story.
it was, yeah, it was the summit was the brainchild of Zyder's American Dream Theater, and Liz uh, Bridge, who is the music director there, has was there and part of the original discussions about it. And the artistic director of the theater, Bart Keeler, was is also a big jazz fan. And he knew me from my time in the Army. He was the head of maybe the Army School of Music at it in Virginia Beach. And so I met him when I went down to train the first group of singers for the regular Army. They were finally letting singers have their own MOS, which is like a job description. And because it used to be, they were like, "Oh, you can kind of sing. Why don't you sing in our band?" They just didn't have like a real job for singers or sound engineers. And they realized, since there's so much more commercial music than marching band music these days in the Army, they needed to have that. So I went down and trained them in 2010. And meanwhile, I probably by 2015, Bart was already probably working with Mike Siders to create the theater. And as you said, I think in 2017 they opened in another building, and then, by 2018 they were in their new building. At least by then, I might have those years a little mixed up. But yeah, and then in 2019 they called me to come meet with them about being the artistic director of the Virginia Beach Vocal Jazz Summit, which is, 3 days of concerts, workshops, and jam sessions and community. It's really been an incredible event. And of course, this is one of those things I always say when they asked me to do it, I I was like, who, me? And I just did that thing where you say yes because everybody always feels like it's not, for them to do, or feels, insecure about it. But I said yes. And meanwhile, in the intervening time between when they asked me to do it and when we actually had the first one, I created jazzvoice.com and really became kind of the best possible person to do it, because suddenly I have this whole community, of singers who want to come to this thing. So over time, we've really realized how integrated Jazz Voice and the Vocal Jazz Summit are. They came into being pretty much at the same time through, during COVID. And it's really, most of the people who come to the summit are Jazz Voice members or part of our community. And so it's been really, we've kind of recoined it as the in-person annual gathering of the Jazz Voice community. So and this year now Jazz Voice is sponsoring the live the Zoom, the virtual summit. So we were able to keep that because it's kind of surprisingly expensive to run that compared to how much tickets we sell. So I didn't want to see that go away, because it's really the fact that we are able to have people in different countries. A lot of a lot of women, of course, are singers, and a lot of women are also caregivers. And we didn't want to exclude people because they couldn't come. So we really, having it continue to be virtual was really important to us. So we're sponsoring that, and I was able to raise the funds for that sponsorship through the new Jazz Voice Vocal Jazz Summit membership, which gives Jazz Voice members the ability to watch the virtual summit for free, and also so that makes it so that I pay that portion from that. So we really are kind of further and further integrating our empires.
Yeah,
And so
yeah, it's
cool.
great. And then we celebrate it every Sunday at the Jam, and then
Every first
first Sunday
Sunday
of
of
the
the month.
month, sorry, and
That's
then
right.
in
And I
June,
want
yeah.
to just, while we're talking about it, Louise, I want to mention Virginia Beach Vocal Jazz Summit is coming up June 3rd to the 7th, 2026 in Virginia Beach. And we're going to have the New York Voices, Veronica Swift, Kenny Washington, the wonderful vocalist from California. It's going to be an incredible event, and Louise and I will be there, and many of you who are on the call too. So if you
Yeah.
don't know about it, you can visit vocaljazzsummit.org to check it out.
Even a man is going to be there who's on the call.
Yes, there are a few
All
men
the
who
girl
come. No,
singers,
there's many. I heard a man
many
told
men.
me he felt very outnumbered, and I said, what do you think it's like to be a jazz musician? Like my whole life, I've been all surrounded by men, and now it's kind of fun that there's so many more women in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But it's
great.
great, yeah. And I don't know if you saw Veronica on Emmett's place on Monday night. Oh my God,
Yeah,
she was on fire, and it's great how she is multi-pronged, right? Then the next day she's in a rock outfit, and then the other day she's singing all these standards.
and she's
Yeah,
doing
so
a
I
workshop
really
for us.
love. Sorry.
She's doing a jazz voice workshop for us on May 18th on scat
Oh,
singing. Excited
good.
about that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Is that with Matt Baker
Yep.
together? Yeah. Yeah. There's so anyone, everybody should go on Jazz Voice. Yeah, no, I love how you say how you go through doors that are open and then say yes to it. I did musical theater in school and I did classes in musical theater. And when you did improv, you
Yes,
always have to
man.
say yes, right? Because yeah, you would learn. Like someone would say, "Do you want an apple?" And then you would say no, and then the whole thing died. So you
Right.
have to say yes, I want an apple, and blah blah blah. And that's how you get ahead, I guess, and how you also say that interacting with this passion, this singing passion of ours, is a lifelong learning experience. And I think Jazz Voice applies that. And also, I like the philosophy of bringing together people at the highest levels, but also people who are not there. You feel really lifted by that. And yeah, I really love that. Like also, you mentioned at some point that like amateurs often feel less, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I certainly have those feelings too, but you never feel like that in this community of jazz singers where everybody's really supportive of each other. And
Well, the word amateur comes from for the love of. So, once you have to start doing something for a career, it there's a lot of opportunity for things being corrupted. But when
yeah,
you just for the love of, it's very pure and there's no other benefit other than you love it, you want to share the music. So I have come from a family of amateur musicians. My grandmother on my mother's side and my father both didn't make their living from their music, but were operating at the highest levels. And Louise, I mean, you're an incredible. I don't even, I mean, you're doing it professionally now sometimes too, and you
well,
release this album and you did a few gigs, but you're somebody who's just operating at the highest levels. So even though you have a career in medicine, it's so wonderful. And you shouldn't feel, you and everybody else who's watching, shouldn't feel any less than because you don't have,
well,
degrees in
yeah.
music or have, paid gigs all the time. It's really not
It's
all
well,
that
I guess
great.
first of all, it's a blessing to be able to have, like you also have mentioned in other interviews, like and Sheila Jordan always said that too, right? Like, yeah, you got to work until the music supports you, and until it can't, then you still have to work. And
Yeah.
I'm glad and I'm glad I have a day job. Otherwise, I couldn't even do this.
And look at all the
Right?
people that you help doing the work that you've done in your job in your career field. It's so wonderful.
Yeah,
So
that's no, absolutely. It's very worthwhile and it's very interesting also. And today actually I had a meeting at my work with a colleague who said, "So you're like singing a lot. So how do you have time for that?" And I said, "Yeah, in the after hours, in the weekends and in the evenings. I'm a night owl." And he said, "But how do you do that?" And then I said, what you always say, like, I just do what interests me. And that's yeah. But as I grow older, I think the music has more of a passion, a force in it, right? Because it's so universal. And as you know, I sang about science on the last at the last summit, which was also a lot of fun because it's nice to educate about that too. So maybe I should make more songs about immunotherapy and things like that. But
good idea.
but yeah. So okay. So let's see what time it is. Seven. It's 7 here actually. There. It's 1 o'clock there. So we work together. as a student also, and you have trained so many singers and that have gone on to great careers, like Samara Joy and Anais Reno, who was also there last year. Yeah, maybe it's a stupid question, but I thought, how does that feel? You know, to be to have guided these people to these great careers, and
Yeah,
yeah.
it feels amazing. And actually, I just found out yesterday that another one of my students, Kira Chaffee, just won second place in the Ella competition. And
Wow.
the thing that makes me even happier is that her best friend won first place. And so the two of them were there together in DC and they both won. And what an incredible experience to have. But I love that the first thing she thought of when she won was to send me a text message and let me know that she won.
Oh,
And that just made me so happy. And I'm so proud of her. And, it's not just the ones that have great careers like Anais and Samara, but I'm so proud of all of my students who are out there making music, doing it. Lucy Winans is another wonderful singer that was in my
the
studio at
Dutch last
Purchase.
name.
Yes, she's Dutch. Yeah, and
Yeah,
her father is from Holland.
yeah.
Yeah, Bram Winans. He's a wonderful stride pianist.
Right, right. Hmm.
And yeah, but all of the students that come in that make music that have integrity, it's really something special to support them.
Yeah,
They don't all take it with the same level of seriousness, and that's hard as a teacher. But there
yeah.
have
I've
been
heard
many,
that.
many in my studios.
You know, we all love the Great American Songbook songs, right? And apparently there's a difference. I don't know who's listening, and there's mostly American people here on this Zoom, but I hear this also from my current teacher and coach in Holland that people are not, the Europeans are not that interested maybe in the jazz standards per se, as much as we are, or as much as it is taught still in America. Is that true?
True. When I was teaching in Holland at in Groningen, um,
Groningen.
yeah, they were doing a songbook week where every day was a different writer, and we had to sort of teach them about Gershwin and Cole Porter and such. Because they were doing that because there really was a waning interest in the Great American Songbook, they felt. So I heard that from those teachers there as
Yeah.
well.
Well, you probably know Francine then. Francine van
Yes, of
Duynen.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And Sanna, you probably know. Yeah, of course, she's been on Jazz Voice actually with the
Yeah.
improv. Yes, definitely. Well, I think the Great American Songbooks are, as you have said also, they are there for you to embody them, right?
Yeah.
And the meanings, they also shift as you go through life. So yeah, I think you're a great teacher and you really love it, and that's clear. And from watching the masterclass and my own experiences, what you really do is you give people tools to work with. It's like you hand them a toolbox, and it's so nice. And you really say, "Oh, I'm going to give you this. This is really going to give you some bang for your buck."
Yeah, I'm a very practical teacher. I really
Yeah,
I mean, I like to inspire people and to try to tell them things that are gonna help them to be motivated and spark their imagination. But my favorite thing is to give people hands-on tools. I'm a very practical person, and I love that.
yeah,
And just again, to mention in the context of our interview that I am available for private instruction. You can book it on jazzvoice.com under private lessons, and you can just book up a lesson with me. I'm here, and we can catch on Zoom, and we can talk about anything you want to, vocal technique or repertoire or jazz, you know, improvisation or anything or computer skills.
yeah.
I just had somebody told me at the end of the last class, I just booked another gig because of the website that you helped me build.
Oh,
That's another thing.
wow.
Help the students build
Yeah,
websites, people build websites with my 1 week to website course. And so to see whatever is going to give people benefit and make them, excited and happy and make things flow better for them. Because sometimes I call it 1 week to website because you literally can build a website in a week. It's not cancer research, Louise.
yeah.
You know, so you could just, you could do these things. A lot of these things can be just whipped out pretty quickly. So
Yeah. To
I
build a
like that. And
trial and to build a drug takes, yeah, like years and years. And
yeah, This
Yeah,
stuff's not
that's
that hard. And it's the same with vocal technique too. Sometimes people are just have a blind spot or they're not seeing, if they made a small shift, it could have a big impact on how the ease with which they're singing. So I
right.
love hacks like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things like the other time when well, so I had three flavors of lessons with you. One was a few years ago when you gave me like it was more a mental coach prep talk
I
for when
remember
I was
that.
going to do a concert in Boston, and I was like, oh, I wanna, and you were like, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. That was basically the gist of it. And the second time was well, for the other concert, and really like the legato lines and the putting it in front, and you have then kind of visuals. The visuals really help. And I saw on a class that you would like let someone sing like that, and yeah, it's too much for now to explain, but I mean, it's these nice tools. But the last one, and that's a nice segue, I think. I wanted an artist development session, right? And partly website building or whatever. What am I going to do with this artist life? Because I'm taking it quite seriously. On the other hand, yeah, you say an amateur is high level, but I still feel I don't have the musicianship as much as I should. Like I should learn to play the piano, and there's all kinds of things I should be doing, and I try as much as I have time. But then you helped me like clean up my website, and I said, what should I be going for? And I had on my website scientist, singer, songwriter. You said, no, it should be singer, songwriter, scientist. So I changed it. And then I said, what else should I do? And you said, well, you should give other people your songs to record. Ta-da. And then I said, okay. And I don't even know if I said it in that session. But pretty quick after that, I said, "What do you want to do one of my songs?" And you said, "Okay." So you picked someone, and yeah, and that was really
Very
incredible.
catchy. It
And
gets stuck in your head.
yeah, and that's great. And you were almost on your way to on a trip to Mexico, I think. You were going to learn Spanish.
And I had a festival appearance and I stayed to work on my Spanish. Yes, because I took some college courses in Spanish last year, 2 semesters.
Right. Yeah, you keep learning. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I'm
great.
using
So
that Shy Bill.
that's true. And then you said send the tracks. I'm leaving Friday morning. So and it was all very quick. And then you sent four tracks, and we got it, and we mixed them in with tracks that were played already on for my recording with Rob van Bavel and Frans van Geest and Vincent Koning. Uh, Piano, bass, and guitar, respectively. And this trio you never met, and I hope you will, though. So I hope you'll come to Holland and play here. And it was recorded in a very iconic studio. That when I came in there, because Rob had recommended, my dog is like he wants to go outside, so I'm gonna let him go outside because I can't handle the growling. Can you just say some fun stuff?
Sure. Yeah, that's great. So one of the things that I love about Jazz Voice and all these opportunities is that we're all close. And Louise, I always think like, that things are gonna, oh, how am I gonna do this thing, but everybody's so low key on Zoom, nobody expects things to be perfect or polished. And just like with social media, all the experts who talk about social media say it's the same thing, that nobody wants to see it be perfect and polished because they're not perfect
Right,
and polished,
that's
that it's
true.
so sterile. And I love how that's one of the things that's made Jazz Voice so great is how relaxed it is and everybody's just
Yeah,
hanging out.
that's
This
true.
is like that
I
too.
don't
I'm
know
glad.
what I was worried about for this session.
Aw.
You know, but I was saying that in that studio, it's just cool to know that was recorded in the studio that where Oscar Peterson and Ella Fitzgerald have played there in that particular studio in Holland. So if you come, I will you'll let you meet all these people and also the recording engineer who was stunned by your recording, and yeah, and it was like, oh, she's a great singer. Yeah.
Wait, and Louise, you remember that in you offered to pay me to record the song and I appreciate that and I accepted it. But instead of paying
Well,
me, what we did, I didn't have the interface that I had been using all during COVID and stuff actually was flawed. And it was, I didn't realize it at the time, or I would have immediately replaced it. But I never did. It was recording out of sync with like, so when I'd use it with a DAW on my computer, it was always recording a little late. And so I have been needing an interface for a long time, and I was putting off purchasing it. But I thought, let this recording for Louise be the impetus for me to buy this piece of equipment. So rather than pay me, she paid for the equipment that I needed, which was around the same price that she was going to pay me. So that was perfect. And that's the kind of win-win thing that's so she not only did she hire me and she's supporting my music career the same way I'm supporting her songwriting, by promoting it, but she's then enabled me to have this wonderful piece of equipment. Now I can record other things. It's just like I'm always trying to capitalize on never let anything just be its own thing. Always try to make it bigger,
Yeah,
somehow like
thank you.
everything should plug into different things. So now I have this great interface that every time I record on it, I'll always think of you, Louise. And I hope I'll have a few more recordings since that one.
Okay,
I've needed
there's
it.
a
Oh, I
song
did
in there,
and
like
in Uruguay.
yeah, like what's that song again? Then you get an interface like yours. you know, you know the song, A Face Like Yours, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, there's many. That's great. I love that. I love how those things work and how that's really also a creative process.
Absolutely.
And well, I was gonna play another one of your songs, but I think people can listen to you on every platform, and I wanted to then move to the song and how it got
Let's
to be.
do
Well,
it.
that's how it's got to be. Actually, that I asked you to do it, and I had sung it at the summit, and you said you liked it, and now you did it, and I can't believe it's out in the world. It's really, really
Oh,
great.
I didn't tell you, but I made a little story, Facebook story this morning to announce the release. And how you can put music with it. And I thought, oh my God, she released it. Could it be there? And I searched for the song and it was right there. And so I made a Facebook story with the song attached to it. Isn't that incredible? Like
Yeah,
digital releasing is so immediate and then
yeah,
you're able to use it. So it
yeah.
was
It's
really fun
amazing.
to see it just right there on Facebook, music,
And
whatever.
I sent you a message about Mark Myers. Did you see that? He
No.
he has Jazzwax, the blog Jazzwax,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's gonna feature it this weekend. But anyway,
Oh,
I wrote it. I sent it to him, and then because I know him through Rebecca Paris, and the world is there is like this guy who is also a radio host, Jack Frieden, and he is coming to the
from Virginia Beach.
summit
Oh
from the
yeah, he lives in
summit. Yeah,
Virginia Beach.
so it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's really beautiful and nice how we all come together. And yeah, so before we end with you singing the song, I just want to thank you again and for everyone for tuning in and thank you for helping singers around the world get a platform and for all that you offer. And for me, this transatlantic world, I feel like I found my jazz tribe. I have so many friends here online I've stayed with Anne Marie and of course Sue and Debbie. I knew already from Boston and Ethel as well. I can't see all the faces right now, and I can't wait to get to know Val a little better.
I was going to say you're going to go up to New York and do a live concert at Pangea June 10th.
Yes,
And
and
Val booked Pangea and she asked me about you, Louise, and I said you were great and you are. And I'm so excited for you to get to do that concert right after the Vocal Jazz Summit. So
right.
thank you Val, for bringing in Louise. She's a wonderful talent.
But I have to fill the seats of the house. And I want to guarantee that for Val because I don't have a New York buddy base, so to speak. So I hope everybody will come. Who's there? Who knows about it? I actually
Yes.
do have some colleagues from my company GenMap, like because that they have a Princeton office and people are not too far away from New York. So there might be some scientists in the room
That's
who will come to New
all.
York. So that will be really
Oh, great.
really cool. And yeah, so this was the last thing that I hope that you will once sing with the trio live that is accompanying you on this track. So then let's do it.
Do it.
Oh, and
And
also what the song means to you, because yeah, for me it meant I wrote it. I remember exact. Do you have that too when you write something? You know exactly where you were at the moment that you. Yeah. For me, it was weird. It was in a parking garage in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I always see that parking garage again, and it has nothing to do with the song. But that's when I got the melody and the lyrics, and it was for me a hopeful song about finding someone that you really, at a deep level, uh, feel you that you belong together and that you understand each other and that you see life in a similar way. And it was meant, I guess, for my kids, for my daughters, that I would hope they would find that. Well, they're doing pretty well with it, better than their mother. But for you, it was really special for you and Paul, I believe so.
yeah, well, I think, one of the fun things about Jazz Voice and the Vocal Jazz Summit is that, I started Jazz Voice and then went to Korea because I could, because I wanted to travel while I had the opportunity to not be teaching. And then after Korea, I went to Hawaii, which is where I was when and I, all the time I was hosting classes on Jazz Voice every week. And then we had the first Vocal Jazz Summit live. I mean, on Zoom. And that was right about the time, just a few, maybe like a month after I met Paul, who is my partner now for over 5 years. And that was, I just think it was so much fun. I knew he was a keeper because it was, he got up with me at 4 in the morning every day so we could watch the Vocal Jazz Summit together, made me coffee, make sure I was taken care of. And I'll tell you that I was already staying with him after just a month. And it's just I call him Mr. Easy and Obvious because unlike every other man I've ever been with, it's never like, oh, I wonder, is this the right one for me? Is this right? Should we keep, should we move in? Should we whatever, I've never been with anybody for very long in my life. And I just turned 50 this year. And so when I met Paul, and it was so easy and obvious to see that we should be together, and it has
Hmm.
continued to be that way. It's just that this song means so much to me. And also this song is sort of an answer to Bluesette. It's also in three like Bluesette. And oh, thank you, Anne Marie. And you guys were all there. You were
That's
there. She says,
wonderful.
I remember when you guys met, Also, he's just so cute. And he makes me cuter. We look cuter together than when I'm on my own.
Oh,
And it's just I think it was a really sweet thing that I got to share that with you. And sweet that it lasted because it would have been very sad if it hadn't. And
no, I
even though it's
know. That
relationships
cannot
not all
happen.
yeah, but relationships don't always last, and it doesn't mean that they weren't successful. They just come and go. And that's why one of the reasons Paul and I are married, because we really believe that. He says when things are over, they're over. You can't hold on to them. And I love that is
Hmm.
why I feel so free
Ah,
when I'm with him, because I'm free to be
yes.
myself and we're free to stay together to choose each other
Yes.
every day. Or
Yeah.
if things don't
It
go that
is.
way,
It
then
just
right.
is.
It just is.
You don't
Yeah.
have to define it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the song is very special. And I've always sung bluesette and hoped that someday there'd be, someone who's sad just like you, that wants to be. And Paul was really in a kind of a bad place when I met him. He was very lonely in Hawaii. Everybody's there in love on their honeymoons. Everybody's there in big groups of friends. And he was trying really hard to meet even just friends, not necessarily romantic partners, and just felt very isolated. Like only paradise can make you feel when you're not happy, right? So I think it was, he says, that I saved him. He
Lost
saved
in
me.
paradise to
Yeah,
someone. Yeah.
it was like that. So this song is really special for us, Louise. And I know even a best friend, it's the same kind of feeling. Someone who knows who you are, someone who's that's real with you, that their emotions are tied in with yours and they understand you. So it's really a great song, Louise. You expressed a lot. And of course, the melody is super catchy. The harmony is incredible. It's a great song,
Oh,
Louise.
thank
I'm
you.
so
I
impressed
had
and
no
so proud
idea
of you.
what I was. It was the
Yeah.
melody, and then actually I have to mention Doug Hammer because he's the one who harmonized. He works in Lynn, Massachusetts as an engineer. He's a great piano player, and he actually harmonized the chords to the melody and changed them all up. And later on, actually in Vermont, when I was in Vermont with Anne Marie and Donna, who's also on the call, I heard from Cam Brown or the people
Yep,
who
Cameron.
gonna
Yep.
play, they said, "Oh, this song is like so intricate. It moves through all the keys." And I'm like, I don't know. I just wrote the melody that way.
Oh,
Um,
that's so cool.
yeah.
Well,
So
it's so organic. It doesn't sound tricky. I like when things, you look at it on paper, you're like, oh my God, look at all these keys it's going through. But it just sounds very natural and organic. That's a hallmark of
yeah,
great
it
writing.
just had to go. It had to go that way in my mind.
Yeah.
But
Because
then,
that's how
yeah,
life is, right? You're searching for the someone. You've got to go, down the labyrinth before you find. At least I
yeah,
did. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll talk to you at the summit a little more.
Girl talk.
Okay.
Uh, Are
So
you ready?
yeah, I'm ready. I'll mute myself and thank you
Okay. Oh, I'm going to
everyone.
change
And
my
here comes.
audio settings. Okay. Original sound is on. Oh, great. It's on. And Louise, I'm gonna make you small. Is that okay? I'm gonna just spotlight myself. Yep. Great. There I am. And let me find my track. And somebody interject orally if you end up not being able to hear me. I've got the track, and let me get the music and rewind the track. Okay, here we go. When you feel lonely or sad, no one makes you smile. Try to hang on, don't forget that love can take a while. Just like the rain and the sun take turns in the sky, you'll find the pain won't be long when joy's waiting inside. There is someone who's waiting for you, someone who feels lonely too. And when you find him, you'll know not to let go. And that someone is looking for you, someone whose love will come true. Soon as he finds you, he'll know not to let go. Someone who knows how you feel, no need to explain. Someone whose kisses are real and not a game. Someone who sees life just the way that you do. Someone who's more than only someone to you. There is someone who's waiting for you, someone who feels lonely too. And when you find him, you'll know not to let go. And that someone is looking for you, someone whose love will come true. Soon as he finds you, he'll know not to let go. Someone who knows how you feel, no need to explain. Someone whose kisses are real and not a game. someone who sees life just the way that you do. Someone who's more than only someone to you. Louise Alexandra's beautiful song,
Where's
Someone.
Jocelyn's clapping machine?
You guys did a good job.
Thank you
Oh,
so,
it's so
so, so
beautiful,
much.
Louise.
Thank you so
And the
much.
track is so great too. The musicians really played gorgeous, and the
Yeah,
arrangement is beautiful. It's so easy to sing and it's so inspiring, the
thank you
music
so
that you
much.
created for this. So thank you. My
And
pleasure.
as I'm watching the screen, Alexis, I cannot not mention that Debbie Lane also recorded this song, and I don't want to have that untold on here. And you should check it out because the ending, she did a really creative thing with the ending. It ends in "Someone to Watch Over Me." Was that the song? Where can I turn to? Maybe.
Where is Love?
Where is love?
From Oliver. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it ends. Da 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 da. Right? Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
that's
Really
it.
cool. Anyway, I saw your face and I was like, you recorded it too, and you didn't get a Zoom show.
Well,
So,
I know, but I'm honored that you mentioned. It was such an honor to do the song, and Alexis is absolutely gorgeous.
yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it was really, really gorgeous, and the yeah, it's just kind of like a dream to hear you sing this. Like it's like what? Like really? Yeah, this really happened, and I'm so thankful everybody, and that you came here, and I want to mention everybody: Amy, Val, Ginny. I didn't mention that you were that I also know you from Boston. I can feel so bad about not mentioning everybody: Donna, Ted, Debbie, Anne Marie, Ethel, Sue, and Alexis, the star. Thank you. And
Thank you, Louise.
I guess
Congratulations.
thank you so much. And I'll see you soon.
Yes,
Not
see you
soon
soon.
enough,
In person. I
as
know.
they
I can't
see.
wait.
Yeah.
See you
All right.
guys.
Thanks so
Bye,
much.
everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.